This past weekend turned out to be a pretty crazy one. I wasn't expecting much, but there were so many great games that ended up delivering. Here are 13 winners and losers from week 3 of the college football season. At the end of the first half, it looked like Georgia was going to end up on the losers list. They were trailing to South Carolina 14-3 at the half. Even entering the fourth quarter, Georgia led by only 3 points, but they managed to put things away and ended up winning the game by 10. It wasn't an impressive game from start to finish for the Bulldogs, but the fact they were able to overcome adversity and still escape with the 10-point victory was enough for me. Although Alabama won this game by 14, this was a disappointing performance. I mean, they trailed at the end of the first quarter, were tied at the half, and led by only 7 points going into the fourth quarter against a team they were favored to beat by 35 points. I get it, the weather was a little bit intense early on in this game, but there is no excuse for Alabama to be struggling against this South Florida team. Like I said, they managed to pull away and ended up winning by 14 points, but this Alabama team has a serious issue. Colorado needed double overtime to beat a team they were favored to beat by 24 points, so a lot of people would have them as a loser most likely, but I have them as a winner because they needed to pull off an insane comeback and win in overtime to escape with the victory. I mean, yeah, I get it, this was a game that I thought Colorado would win by at least 30 points, but the fact that they were able to pull off this comeback in the dramatic fashion they did, I think that takes a lot, so that's why I actually have the Buffaloes as a winner this week. Florida State won by 2 points on the road at Boston College, but I got them as a loser. I mean, again, if you look at the spread, they were favored to win by 26 points, and this was a very, very close win. I mean, Boston College had their chance as they pulled to within 2 points with over 5 minutes left in this game. Florida State was able to hold them off, but it's not a great look for a Seminoles team that, is the number 3 team in the country. One of the more shocking upsets of the entire weekend was Florida knocking off number 11 Tennessee by 13 points. After Tennessee quickly went ahead 7-0 in the first quarter, I thought this game would likely be a blowout, but Florida then turned things around and outscored Tennessee 29-9 the rest of the game. I mean, after Florida scored their second touchdown in the second quarter, this game was never even close for Tennessee. Graham Mertz actually didn't look awful as he had only 5 incompletions for the entire game. Meanwhile, you have Trevor Etienne, who looked exactly like his brother as he rushed for just under 200 yards with a rushing score. I don't know what to make of this Gators team. I mean, I don't know if they're good, I don't know if they're bad, but they definitely surprised me this weekend. We're actually going to stay here for this game because Tennessee is a huge loser. I wasn't as high on this Tennessee team after the first couple of weeks because they hadn't really impressed me yet, but I thought they should be able to pick up a victory against a pretty bad Florida team, and boy was I wrong. I mean, come on, you're favored to win this game, you're a borderline top 10 team, and you essentially get outplayed for a good 75% of this contest. I was expecting a lot of things from this Volunteers team this season. If they can't beat the Florida Gators, it might be a long year for them. When I was doing my top 25 rankings over the last couple of weeks, I had LSU down a few more spots than they were actually ranked in the AP poll. That's because they hadn't impressed me yet this season. Well, they did just that on Saturday as they knocked off Mississippi State 41-14. They absolutely dominated the Bulldogs on both sides of the ball for all 60 minutes. Jaden Daniels had an insane game as he threw for 360 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. He was also the leading rusher, running for 64 yards with 2 rushing scores as well. Oh, and Malik Nabers had quite the day as he caught 13 passes for 240 yards with 2 touchdowns. Although the offense was impressive for LSU, considering they had over 500 total yards, you can make the case their defense was even better. They held Mississippi State to only 14 points, 10 first downs, and only 200 total yards of offense. Like I said, it was complete domination on both sides of the ball. This was probably the most thrilling game of the day as Kansas State fell to Missouri on a game-winning field goal. I'm actually going to start with Kansas State as I had them as a loser. Now, luckily for them, this isn't a conference loss, so they can still compete for the Big 12 title, but this is a pretty demoralizing loss considering this game was right there for the taking. This was a back-and-forth contest the entire way, but Kansas State did lead this game entering the fourth quarter. They also had the lead with about 8 minutes left in this game as well. Kansas State was able to tie things up with a field goal with 5 minutes left, but losing on a 60-yard field goal as time expires, that has to be an absolute gut punch. We're going to stick on this game because with there being a loser, there has to be a winner, and that's the Missouri Tigers. They're now 3-0 on the season after this impressive victory over Kansas State. Personally, I didn't think the Tigers had any chance in this game, as I thought Kansas State was the overall much better team. But Missouri has shown that through the first 3 weeks, they might be a sneaky competitor in the SEC this season. Brady Cook looks like a great quarterback as he threw for over 350 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Don't look now, but there's only 5 undefeated teams left in the SEC, and Missouri is one of them. Yeah, I know a lot of people probably weren't too focused on Stanford this weekend, but they lost at home to Sacramento State. Now, you may be surprised to hear that Stanford was only a 7-point favorite against an FCS opponent, but yeah, things are going pretty bad for Stanford right now. Also, shout out to Sacramento State. I know they're consistently one of the better teams in the FCS, so this was quite the victory for them. Also, Stanford's head coach is the former Sacramento State coach, so this one probably has to feel even better. Miami of Ohio was a 14-point underdog on the road at Cincinnati, but they pulled off the upset, beating them by 7 in overtime. Quarterback Brett Gabbert did all he could for Miami as he threw for 250 yards with 3 passing touchdowns, while also being their leading rusher with 75 yards on the ground. I know Cincinnati isn't quite the team they've been in recent years, but they were still on the verge of being a 3-0 team and potentially sneaking into the top 25. The fact that Miami of Ohio was a 2-touchdown underdog, went on the road, and pulled off the upset in overtime, that's quite the impressive feat. I actually don't have a team for my next loser, and it's Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell. As you guys all know, he made some comments last week in regards to Deion Sanders, and there was a lot of hype surrounding that game. For Norvell, it looked like he was going to get the final say, as Colorado State was in prime position to pull off the upset, and he was going to be looking really nice after that. But his team blew it late and ended up losing to Colorado, so not only did he have the comments that went viral that made him look bad, the fact that his team blew this game just made him look even worse. We'll wrap this up with one final winner, and I got it being the BYU Cougars. They were a 10-point underdog, but they went on the road to Arkansas and escaped with a 7-point victory. If you were to turn this game on midway through the third quarter, it was looking like Arkansas was probably going to put this one away. They led 31-21 with 12 minutes left in the third quarter, and I honestly thought Arkansas was probably going to win this game by at least 2 scores, maybe even 20 plus points the way their offense was looking. But BYU outscored the Razorbacks 17-0 the rest of the way. Don't look now, but BYU is 3-0 as we enter Big 12 conference play. Also, yeah, I totally forgot that BYU is now officially in the Big 12 as well. That's still going to take some getting used to. Well, those are all my winners and losers from week 3 of the college football season. Who do you think was the biggest winner and the biggest loser from this past weekend? Or was there a team that I didn't include on this list that should have been on here? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.